Good morning children. I welcome you all to the next video of class 11th business studies. We have started with the second chapter, forms of business organizations, and this is the fifth part that we are going to continue in this video. Earlier we have talked about cooperative organizations and types of cooperative organizations. Now we are going to discuss about joint stock company. So what is a joint stock company? The company form of business or organization is considered to be the most suitable for organizing business activities on a larger scale. It has advantage of attracting huge capital from the public. With adequate capital, it can employ trained and experienced managers to run the business activities efficiently. Features of joint stock company, first of all we are going to talk. Okay, so first is separate legal existence. Okay, separate legal existence. A company has a separate legal entity. A company can carry on business in its own name. It can buy and sell assets in its own name. It can enter into contract with outsider in its own name. The company and its members are separate individuals. Okay. Then we move ahead to second, that is artificial person. A company does not have a physical body like a natural human being. It is an artificial person created by law. Its operations are performed by the elected representatives of members known as directors, although businesses run in the name of the company. Then next is registration. What is registration? It is legally compulsory for a company to get itself registered under the Companies Act 1956. Without registration, no company can come into existence. Then perpetual succession. That is, a company has continuous existence independent of its members. A company is created by law and only law can bring an end to its existence. The death, insolvency or incapability of any member does not affect the existence of the company. Members may come and the members may go, but the company goes on forever. The life of the company can come to an end through legal procedure of winding up only. Then next is common seal. Being an artificial person, the company cannot sign. Therefore, there is a need for common seal. With its name engraved on it, the activities of the company are carried through a group of people. Anyone acting on behalf of the company can use common seal in place of signature of the company to bind the company. Any document which does not bear the common seal of the company is not binding on the company. Then next is transferability of shares. The capital of the company is divided into shares. The share of the company are freely transferable by its members. A shareholder is free to withdraw his membership from the company by selling his shares. The shares of the private limited companies cannot be easily transferred. Then next is separation of ownership and control. The company form of business is owned by the shareholders. These shareholders elect their representatives who are called directors of the company. The directors manage and control the activities of the company by appointing professional experts. Then comes the eighth one, that is limited liability. What is that? The liability of the member of the company is limited to the extent of their share capital contribution in the company. For example, if a person has purchased 1000 shares of the value 10 rupees each, then his liability is limited up to only 10,000 rupees. Okay. Now we move on to the merits or advantages of joint stock company. So the first advantage of any joint stock company is limited liability. What is that? The liability of the members of the company is limited to the extent of their share capital contribution in the company. The limited liability attracts many people to invest their money in company form of business. As in case of loss, the creditors cannot have claim over the personal property of the members as it is in sole tradership. Okay. Then next is transfer of interest. The shares of the company can be easily bought and sold in the market. If the owner of the share is in need of cash, he can easily sell the shares and get cash. The easy transferability of shares bring liquidity of investment. At any time, the share investment can be converted into cash, and at the same amount can be used to buy the shares of the other company also. Then the third one is perpetual existence. The company form of business enjoys perpetual succession, that is, as it has separate existence, it is formed by law and can end by legal procedure of winding up only. The death, insolvency and incapability of any member does not affect the existence of the company. Then we move on to the fourth one, that is growth and expansion. What is that? In company form of business, there is more scope of growth and expansion. The company has large financial resources and their rate of profit is also high. They can easily use large amount of accrued or retained profit for expansion and growth. Then next is efficient management. Company form of business has huge funds at its disposal. It can easily afford to hire professional experts to perform managerial and other activities of the organization. The expert and specialized people improve the efficiency and working of the company. Then next is large amount of capital. The biggest advantage of the company form of business is that it can collect a large amount of capital by issuing of shares to general public. The people having a small saving can also buy the shares of the company because the value of share is small. Apart from share capital, the company can collect fund by raising loans from financial institutions also and by issuing of debentures or other securities also. But there are some demerits or disadvantages of the company form of business. So first of all, we are going to talk about the first one, that is complexity in formation. The formation of the company involves a lengthy and complicated procedure. Many legal formalities have to be completed. Many documents have to be prepared and submitted. So various permissions have to be obtained. To perform these activities, experts are hired who charge high fees. Even registration fees have to be paid to the registrar. Then next is lack of secrecy. As per Companies Act 1956, company is required to provide a lot of information to the office of the registrar of the company. Such information is available to general public also, so there is difficult to maintain complete secrecy on the operations of the company. Then third is impersonal work environment. Company is not managed by owners, but it is managed by professional managers. These managers get salary for their services, so there is no direct relation between the efforts and reward. The increase in company's profit will not increase the income of manager. Hence there is a lack of motivation and incentives to perform efficiently. Then next is numerous regulations. What is that? The company form of business has to comply with various legal formalities at different stage, and there is penalty if the company fails to meet any formalities. The company has to file return and annual reports with the registrar. This legal interference in day-to-day operation results in lack of secrecy. Then delay in decision. In company organization, all the important decisions are taken in the board meeting and after consulting various persons. So once decisions are taken, these have to be communicated to everyone, which is again a lengthy process, and a large number of people are working in the company at different levels. So taking and implementing decisions is lengthy process. Then next is, that is, now we are going to do the management. Although we say that it is a democratic setup in the company form of business, but this democratic setup exists only on paper. In real practice, company is in the hand of the control of few people, that is directors. The directors have complete control over the company. These people take all the decisions keeping in mind their personal interest and benefits, ignoring the interest of the shareholders and the company. Okay? That's why it is known as oligarchic management. Then last one is conflict in interest. That is, in a company, various groups of people are involved, such as shareholders, debenture holders. Each group has different interests. Debenture holders want their rate of interest to increase. Shareholders want to reduce. So it is so that leftover income is more. There is a possibility of conflict between various groups. So now you are going to prepare the notes regarding these. In the next video, we are going to continue with the next topic. Up till then, goodbye children.